I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At today's Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, Chairman Dick Durbin excoriated his Republican colleagues over their lines of questioning during a hearing on threats to election workers. Multiple Republican senators, including Ranking Member Chuck Grassley and Texas Senator Ted Cruz, had focused on violent street crime, the defund the police movement, and threats to Supreme Court justices, then the topic of the hearing. Witnesses, which included officials from the Department of Justice, were subjected to lines of questioning by Republicans Durbin considered untoward. Democrats have sought to make threats to the integrity of the democratic process and former President Trump's 2020 election lies a centerpiece of their messaging strategy going into the midterm elections. Republicans have shied away from the issues. The demonstration of this divide led to Durbin's angry remarks.
And to all the panel, but Mr. Crane in particular, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. And thanks for what you just said. Because there might be people who watch this hearing and can't figure out what in the hell is going on here. Why won't any Republican witness or senator talk about the issue that was the subject matter of this hearing? Why won't they get into the reality of the threats that county clerks and election officials are facing across the United States? And the answer is very clear and simple and obvious, because it means saying that the big lie is a lie. It means saying that the Stop the Steal campaign has gotten out of hand. It means we've got to face the reality that there's one person who continued to inspire this violence and hatred against election officials across the United States. And they can't do it politically. They just can't do it. So they changed the subject. We have some great witnesses here who have nothing to do with the topic at hand. Mr. Hurst, thank you for coming. Thank you for your service as U.S. Attorney. Mr. Mangel, thank you for your research. And Mr. Johnson, thank you for all your work in Baltimore. Great. Violent crime has been a subject of 10 hearings. It may be the subject of 10 more. It's not the subject of this hearing. We're trying to get down to the bottom line here. What's happening to our election system? Why is Miss Benson's 6-year-old son standing in the driveway saying he's going to defend her with a stick? Because this woman's life has been threatened. Why? What crime did she commit? What did she do wrong? You participated in election machinery, administered an office for an election, and the Stop the Steal folks are out after you, right? It's changed your life, hasn't it? And that's what we wanted to talk about today. Miss Oliver, you really said it too as well. You faced it. I take a look at what happened to you. You had to go into hiding for a period of time in late 2020 after your photo, home address, and other personal information was published on a website entitled Enemies of the People. Did you ever think that's what you were signing up for when you ran for Secretary of State?
No, Mr. Chair.
No, and no one should. And I take a look, Ms. Cohen, your testimony just goes on for pages, and it's well documented. I guess it must reflect the fact that you went to Georgetown. It's well documented, and it makes a point. Harassment's been around for a long time, but not at this level. This is a new level, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Crane, that's the point we're getting to here. Thank you for what you do as a Republican county clerk in Colorado, representing that organization, I should say. And thanks to all of you for what you're doing. And the fact that my Republican colleagues don't want to talk about this is really troubling to me, because it's at the heart of our democracy. We won't have a debate about this president, next president, presidents beyond, if we don't have a trustworthy voting system, Mr. Hurst. And that's what this hearing was all about. They brought you in here for another reason, I know, though I would just want to make one point, and you made it very effectively. I'm always having to answer for violent crime in Chicago. Well, it's a terrible situation, and I've talked to the police, I've talked to everybody I can think of, I'll do all I can. But violent crime, and particularly deadly crime, has taken place in a lot of cities, large and small. The towns of Rockford and East St. Louis, my hometown of East St. Louis, has a worse crime rate than the city of Chicago. And as you mentioned, in some respects, so does Jackson, Mississippi. Most law enforcement, when it comes to criminal law, is state and local. About 90% of the enforcement is. So we can do a better job at the federal level, but everybody has to get on the same page. I'm just going to close by saying thank you all for being here. I think this hearing gets to the heart of whether we're going to have an election process we can trust in America. And for us to reach that point, members have to step up on both sides and say the big lie is a lie. Stop the Steal has to stop. We've got to have a conversation at the highest levels of our government, Democrats and Republicans, about an election system we can trust. I believe we can do that, but people have to come out of the shadows and stop changing the subject. Senator Grassley.